host, Daryl D. Lane, where I can talk about everything that I normally don't get to talk about on my regular sports podcast. Barbershop Sports Talk, which you guys can all find on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, wherever else you get your podcasting apps or platforms from. Also, thank you everybody who's tuning into this show right now via Twitter/Periscope, Facebook Live, and YouTube live stream. By the way, follow, share this on whichever platform you're listening to. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, check out the link below. I list my top 14 offensive tackles in this upcoming 2021 NFL draft. So you want to check out the offensive tackles. Maybe your team needs an offensive tackle. Maybe you're just curious to know where the best offensive tackles in college football. Click on that link below for sportsfluent.com and check that out. My number 2 might be surprising to some of you guys because my number 2 is not the consistency guy that's been on a lot of boards for the number 2 tackle in this upcoming draft class. So here's what we got to talk about today. We got a lot of stuff. Aaron Rodgers news. Him and Green Bay, they're going back and forth again. I mean, no surprise right there. Also, NFL draft talk. We were going to get into that. Some interesting tidbits of there, some pro days. More Deshaun Watson news. Sad. LeBron James will miss some time for the Los Angeles Lakers, and Draymond Green says he's the GOAT. So we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. So first, let's start with this. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Also, by the way, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just type in Daryl Lane, and you will find the YouTube channel right there. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. He wants an extension. He wants Green Bay to commit to him. I think this is a marriage gone wrong. It's getting stale. It's getting a little testy right now. They brought in Jordan Love. I think they had the 25th pick, something like that. And I believe they traded up too. They traded up to get him. So they gave up a pick to get him. And I believe also from that draft, none of those guys actually played in the NFC Championship game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I get Aaron Rodgers a little bit pissed. He wants there to be security. He wants there to be assurance that he is the guy in Green Bay, because I can understand how it would bother him when you see, like, they drafted this guy to replace me and I'm twice as good as him and I'm still one of the best at my craft in the entire world. I can see how that would piss him off. But I do want to just show you guys this in terms of history, in terms of how things have ended when teams bring in a new quarterback. Look at this. Steve Young comes in. Joe Montana, out. Gone. See you, wouldn't want to be it. Aaron Rodgers comes in. Brett Favre, gone. See you, wouldn't want to be it. Jimmy G comes in. Tom Brady eventually leaves. Phillip Rivers comes in. Drew Brees leaves. Now, a lot of these guys that end up leaving are all Hall of Famers. I mean, we're talking about Montana, Favre, Brady, Brees. I think this is going to go with Rodgers and Jordan Love. Because here's the thing. The Brady Patriot situation was interesting. Is Brady made them kind of trade. They had to trade Garoppolo, and they even traded Brissett. Like, eventually, you want to see what Jordan Love can do. You can't see what he can do on the bench. You don't know how much Aaron Rodgers is actually helping him. So at some point, it's like, what are we doing here? The perfect quarterback, you draft a quarterback, and you have a veteran in there ready to go, was the Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes scenario, where Alex Smith, really nice guy. People love him, did everything he can in his power to help Patrick Mahomes be the best guy he possibly can be while focusing on his craft and knowing I have the reins of the team right now. That's not what Aaron Rodgers is doing. So you're not even helping Jordan Love. You're pissing off Aaron Rodgers. And quite frankly, I don't think it's a healthy workplace environment to try to piss off your coworkers. It's like you're a teacher and you're like, hey, well, let's piss off the teacher across the hall. They'll work better. It's like, okay, let's not do that. You shouldn't be trying to aggravate people in their own personal environment. I don't think that's healthy or wise. Next up, so the 2021 NFL Draft and select prospects, fans, and media will be in Cleveland. Shout out to Cleveland right there, Northeast Ohio. I think this is good. I think it's really cool. It's an amazing experience for the families, media. I'm sure, obviously, they've been there, and fans to be at the NFL Draft. It's a rare circumstance of a lifetime, particularly for these players. This is the first time you're getting drafted on national TV. It's like all the hard work done in your life. It's great that that's going to be in person. Last year, obviously, was not because of COVID, but the NFL got that done. I think it's a really important. And just the pageantry of it, too. Just the pageantry. You see the hugs of the moms, slapping up the dads. It's just like all the hard work stuff about the grandmas, the grandpas, like all these players' stories you get to hear. And I think that's really cool and interesting when you learn about the draft and all these players. Najee Harris. Really interesting story about Najee Harris. He drove 9 hours to Alabama for an Alabama pro day after his flight was canceled. He just came to support his teammates. Najee is a real dude. Like, that is actually super cool. A team canceled on him, as I'm looking at this right now. Who was the team that canceled on him? Dallas. He was supposed to fly to Dallas. and then ends up just deciding to not go. I think he ended up getting his workout canceled and just drove to the Alabama Pro Day. That's some real stuff right there, and that kind of shows a leader. I think if I was a team, I know people always talk about leadership and tangibles. I think that's something to look at. Like, it shows you care about your guys. Like, it shows you care about your guys. You have love for your guys. They have love for you. It's really important when you're part of a team environment. Next up, in terms of some pro day talk, so the top tight end, Kyle Pitts. I love Pitts. He is a top 5 player on my board overall in this upcoming draft. He ran a 4.4640. That's super fast, particularly for a tight end. That is really fast. It's blazing speed. Also, Rondale Moore out of Purdue had a 42.5-inch vertical and an unofficial 4.29. For all of you guys who don't know, and by the way, you can check out my wide receiver, my top 15, I believe, wide receivers in this upcoming NFL draft. That's on Sports Fluent as well. You guys can check that out too. Just type in NFL draft and you'll be able to find all the articles right there. I don't have that link listed below. But when it comes to Rondale Moore, I love Rondale Moore. I think his start-stop speed is phenomenal. He's a weapon. He's really put together. He's built really well. He's a 5'9" guy. He's probably like a $180, but he doesn't look it. He plays physical. So I'm a really big Rondale Moore fan, and I think he's a freak of nature. Deshaun Watson, more allegations coming. 14 civil lawsuits have been filed after Monday. There is now 24 accusers. Not good news for Deshaun Watson. And here's where I wanted to go with this, and I thought this was really interesting. And as I was thinking about this whole scenario, first of all, this is not good for Deshaun. And here's the thing about lying. The reason it's hard to lie, it's easy to lie if there's one person who's lying, because then that one person just has to worry about their lie. Like, people don't realize being a good liar is hard to do, because it's almost kind of like psychology. Like, you have to kind of be psychotic to be a good liar, because you have to intrinsically believe in everything you're doing. So most people aren't good at lying. And when you have a bunch of people trying to lie and say what's not the truth, and they know it's not the truth, then that's really hard, because then everybody's stories has to be together. And not everybody's that smart. You can have one person that's smart enough to do that, maybe 2, maybe 3. Once you start getting here, they got 14 people saying this, then 24. It gets harder, and eventually you're going to figure this out if these folks are lying, because it's really hard to find 24 people who are all that good of liars, or at the very least don't believe what they're saying, because that's also different. You can maybe intentionally not telling what is true or correct, but you can believe that it is true. And I don't want to get too much into psychology of that as well, but it doesn't look good for Deshaun. This does not look good for Deshaun. And I don't know, based off of this, and I've heard people talk about this, if there's going to be legal ramifications in terms of him going to jail. But in terms of him being your franchise, your leader, in terms of even being a role model for parents out there, like, just how can you respect the guy? How can you follow a guy that does that? Like, seriously, how can you follow a guy that does that? I don't think you can be in leadership positions personally and do that type of stuff. I don't. And I could not follow somebody who's doing that, because I'd be like, he's telling me how to do this, how me to do things. Or it's like, you can't even treat women right. Like, why the hell am I listening to you? I don't think that works. I personally don't think that works. So Deshaun is in deep, deep doo-doo. Next up, LeBron James, he is out with a calf strain, I believe, and no, turn ankle, excuse me. High ankle sprain, excuse me. Got this right here. High ankle sprain, 3 to 4 weeks. LeBron James is showing his destructibility. This is probably one of the longest times I've seen that LeBron will ever be out in this time. I think what's also interesting about this is, when is this thing with LeBron going to end? He's 36 right now. He's been at the top of his game. He's still recognized the best player in the entire NBA, which is phenomenal when you look at it. But how long is LeBron going to be LeBron? How long is he going to be the guy? And when it starts going, sometimes it's not when you start losing your ability. Sometimes it's not that your play decreases. Sometimes it's injury. Like, let's remember Kobe Bryant, the late, great Kobe Bryant. You know what took Kobe out? It was the Achilles. It wasn't like he all of a sudden sucked, right? He was playing at an MVP level. He was a top 5 player in the NBA in 2012 when that Dwight Howard Pau Gasol, and he drugged that team all the way to the playoffs. Kobe was averaging like 27, 6, and 6 and shooting like 46% for the field. Kobe was playing phenomenal. Top 3 actually in the basketball. By the way, I think it was LeBron, KD, then him at that time. But that's neither here nor there. But then he tears his Achilles, ruptures it. He's never the same. Like, injuries will take away who you were. Look at Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was an MVP of the league. Now what is he? He's a 6th man? He's a guy that averages 18 points per game, and you're like, oh, he's cute. This is a cute little story. He's nice. He's okay. He's going to be the freaking MVP of the league. That's the best player in the league. Injuries will take away your ability before actual age does, and age is a reflection of injury. So I think this is all going to be really interesting to look at LeBron. Also, somebody mentioned as well was it took John Morant to have like the same injury. He had like a month and change before he came back, and LeBron's twice his size. I mean, twice his age as well. So I think this could possibly be bad news for the Lakers in terms of the most dropping in the seedings as well. And lastly, Draymond Green says he believes he's the best defender to ever play the game. I think this is interesting. When you think about the best defenders, you think of guys like Draymond. I think maybe you put Draymond in that category. You think of guys like Hakeem Olajuwon was a really good defender. Dikembe Mutombo, Dwight Howard in his prime. People forget about Dwight Howard. We think of Dwight Howard as a joke now, butt injuries and all. You guys can look that up if you don't know the joke about the butt injuries. But right, like Dwight Howard was a really great player in this league. He was a really great player in this league. Also, there are guys like Scottie Pippen, great perimeter defender. Michael Jordan, right, the GOAT, great perimeter defender. There are a lot of defenders that can, and Dennis Rodman, a guy everybody talks about. Bill Russell, the ultimate champion. So for Draymond to say he's the best, I personally don't think Draymond's the best. I don't even know off the top of my head if I put Draymond in my top 5. I don't even know if, is he a better defender than Klay? I mean, he's more versatile, but Klay was in his prime one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA. If you look at Kawhi Leonard, him and Kawhi Leonard played in the same era. Kawhi Leonard has 2 Defensive Player of the Years to Draymond's 1. I think what Kawhi could do was just shut people out the game and it just over. Like I just saw him a couple times. I remember I knew Kawhi was legit where I saw him. It was like 2017, I think. He was playing LeBron. I just saw him take the ball from LeBron like LeBron was a child. It was like a dad playing with a son. Like that's what Kawhi did to him. I think people forget how special Kawhi Leonard was on the defensive end of the floor. So no, I love the confidence. I love the arrogance by Draymond to think that, but no, he is not a top 5. He's not the best defender ever to play in the NBA. I don't think he's in my top 5. I don't even, quite frankly, know if he was ever the best defender, and not unanimously. It wasn't like when Dwight Howard played in the NBA. It was like Dwight Howard's the best defender in the NBA. It wasn't like when Dikembe Mutombo played in the NBA. Dikembe Mutombo was the best player, the best defensive player in the NBA. Or when Bill Russell played, Bill Russell was the best defensive player in the NBA. I just don't see Draymond in that light. Very good, very elite, and will be a Hall of Famer. And that's all we have for this edition of Outside the Shop. Like I said, check out the article on Sports Fluent, top 14 offensive tackles. Also, share this, whichever platform you were listening to. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, type in Darrell Lane. Have a great day and God bless.